this particular 1993 Saab has a B202 16-valve turbocharged engine. It produces about 174 horsepower at about 5,500 RPM and about 188 feet-pounds of torque. Now, what set the 90 Turbo apart from its other turbo Saab cars was that, especially in the early or mid-1980s, Saab utilized the APC, or also known as the Automatic Performance Control, from 1982 and beyond. So this system allowed the engine to run at its limits of engine knocking. And this is unique because the system had a knock sensor attached to the intake side of the motor block. And if knocking of any kind was present, the APC system would decrease the charge pressure by opening a wastegate. So all the bypass would go towards exhaust. This allowed the engine to be a lot safer and a lot more efficient. So this is what was unique for this car, and also Saab took after a lot of the fighter jet styling. So as you guys notice, I'll talk about later on with the curved windshield, which I thought was very unique. The tires came with the Pirelli P8 185 65 SR15s. So those came in the 900S models. Obviously, these are the tires that are no longer on the car. My dad has replaced them over the years, but they're fairly nice tires coming from the factory. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Etches in the 30K Media. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for watching. I appreciate all you guys' views and comments. As you guys can tell, I'm recording this video not in Los Angeles today, but I'm actually back in Sacramento, California, where my parents live. I'm visiting for the Labor Day weekend. And you guys see that Saab right behind us, right here, that 1989 900S Saab. I did a review on that a while back, a couple years ago, but I wanted to tell you guys another story about my dad's other Saab that he never really drives or never really talks about. And it's kind of nice because I've been driving a lot of JDM cars lately. All my cars are JDM cars, you know, my 1990 240 SX, my 2004 RSX, which is sitting right over there, and my, basically I have so many JDM cars. But it's special because, this car is special because my dad first came over to this country in 1975. And just like a lot of immigrants, you know, we had to build our life up from nothing. So as he was walking by the Saab dealer one day back in San Francisco, he really fell in love with the car, fell in love with the way that it looked, the way that the curves, the way that it felt. And he just bought a Saab a couple years after he started working, and it's been in the family for many, many years. It's a 1993 model. This is a turbo model, which we'll talk about later on in more detail. But long story short, you know, he just had Saabs ever since he came to this country. And this one is very special because it's had its fair share of problems, you know, from struts to shocks, engine overheating to like the power steering rack is going out to like it overheated for him I think a few weeks ago, and luckily my brother was home to pick him up. But when you have a certain level of attachment to the car, like we all know, you know, us car guys, we kind of just can't let it go, right? And it's the same way for me. I can't really let go of my cars either, even if they had thousands of problems. I still fix them and just drive them, right? But that being said, this is a special convertible model, and it's one that my dad has always loved. He just has the thing for like old school Saabs, the classic edition generation Saabs, and he likes the turbo because the turbo drives a little bit different than the automatic one that he had before. He's had a couple of Saabs, but these two are the ones that you guys see in this video, the ones that he's held on for the longest. But that being said, I want to take you guys for, you know, a quick review of the car, just give you guys a layout, give you guys a history of the Saab, and take you guys through the interior of the car. Unfortunately, we can't drive this car because it's going to overheat, and 30 minutes in, I don't want to be overheating and just cutting the video short and just having to tow the car home. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Something fairly different than, you know, the things that I normally talk about on the channel. And if you guys have any questions, please post in the comments section down below, right? Let's take a look at the car and let's hop into the interior. So as you guys can tell, I'm sitting back in the Saab. Give you guys a quick little run through of this car, the interior. It's a burgundy kind of tannish interior, fairly good condition. I mean, I've driven so many Japanese cars that I think sitting in a different car gives you a new like perspective on a lot of things. So I mean, just right off the bat, I noticed that the windshield is kind of curved, as you guys can tell, and this Saab takes after like their kind of like known fighter jet style cockpit, where they want to give the user, or the driver I should say, a very clear view of like the windshield of everything, and of the road and of the freeway. So that's why they kind of had this curvature layout. It's pretty interesting. And just everything feels so solid, you know, like the key, when you start the car, you start it right down here, and the transmission shifter is right here. You got park, reverse, neutral, drive, 2 in 1. Steer layout is kind of like lower towards the bottom, and all the gauges are laid out. Like the clock is right here, the RPM gauge is right to the left, the speedometer is right in the middle, and then you have the turbo gauge, and you have the fuel and the high-low temperature gauge. Now my dad did install I guess a in-dash receiver so he can listen to like some music. I guess it's very like European kind of style layout back in like the late 80s, early 90s, where you have like the I guess the controls right here for the air, you have the heat, cold. Something I noticed that was really funky was if you look over here, you know, a lot of cars these days that have like the AC, the heat, but in Saabs they have all these weird like dials where it's like, this is like the defrost, this is like, I guess the wind going up and down, this is like the side arrows, you got the down arrows and the up and down arrows. Like, I have no idea what that is, to be honest. So I just leave it on default whenever I borrow the car and take it out for a spin. You got the convertible roof right here. You have to unbolt these latches for it to come down, and then the roof comes back. But it's a 27, 28-year-old car, and the seats are fairly new. It probably needs a little bit of like TLC, and you know, I mean, I do it, but I don't live at home, so I can't come back too often to help out with that. But yeah, the steering wheel is really sturdy. The knobs, you know, you got the headlight dim and off switch right here. You have this is the OEM windshield. It has never been cracked, so knock on wood, you know. Other than that, these seats are very different from his other Saab. The seats, they slide back. You gotta like manually adjust it electronically, so that's a good thing. Yeah, but other than that, everything is really basic, and I think the dash is somewhat nice in this car. It's uncracked, but my dad kind of put a little like, you know, cushion thing right here to kind of protect it from the sun, because he parks outside a lot. You should kind of park it inside because you have the convertible to protect it from the UV rays. Other than that, it feels really heavy. I guess front end heavy, the way the engine layout is set. We'll talk about that later on in the review, but with that being said, you know, this is the interior of the Saab. You guys can take a look around. Smells Saab. I don't know if you guys have been in certain cars, but certain cars have certain smells. But nevertheless, you know, this is the car, and you know, hope you guys. I don't know if you guys are out there looking to buy a Saab, but if you are, this is a detailed review of what the Saab's like. Something cool was that I noticed that for the windshield, the windows, like when they roll up and down, the right, left, these actual little windows back here do also roll up and down. You control everything right down here, right here. So it's pretty interesting. You know, when you're driving, you just use one hand to like control everything. You know, it's kind of like cockpit style layout. Pretty simple, fairly easy. Yeah, this is the interior of the Saab, and hope you guys, you know, get a little more knowledge about Saabs, because people don't talk about Saabs these days. First of all, they're discontinued. Second of all, nobody makes them anymore. And third of all, the parts are really hard to find. They're really scarce, so you gotta really scavenge for them. Go to like a junkyard or something like that. So hopefully, that being said, if you guys do have Saabs out there, and you guys that are watching this channel right now, you guys can get an idea of, you know, there's still classic owners out there that love Saabs. And there's an analogy that I read online where it's like history teachers own Saabs, and my dad doesn't teach history, but I mean, he still likes it, and if you like something, you gotta take care of it, right? So yeah, let's just take a walk around the car and look at the engine bay, and just do a quick walkthrough and give you guys a little more detail of Saab and what this car is all about.